It is Thursday, July 2nd. It is time to get in the weeds. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That is SP3. And SP3, I hate to break it to you, we're going to trade you for an older version of yourself. We might get a couple of draft picks in return, but you've been on stream kind of talking, I don't want to curse this early, talking nonsense after a few shows, and I think it's just time we move on. I hate to break this news to you immediately like this. Otherwise, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. I get my Tuesdays and Thursdays back, so I'm doing pretty well myself. And I just have to say to start off the show, the Boston Celtics have been through a lot throughout my sports lifetime, but I just want to thank them so much, because the Lakers were getting a lot of crap for our Walker Kessler trade, and then y'all just said, hold my beer, this is a worse trade than that.
The Walker Kessler trade, looks great in comparison now. So this news broke. By the way, everybody, leave a thumbs up on the video. We're going in the paint very early today. Leave a thumbs up on the video.
But, it's crazy. But go ahead. Continue. I'm sorry.
Leave a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Send a super chat. All that fun stuff. We will be talking some hoops early on, as you can hear. We will also be joined by Bauer at 11 o'clock. Maybe he'll talk hoops with us, but Bauer is going to join us at 11. We will have Dynamite to review. We will catch up on news. Eric Young has left TNA. Everybody's leaving TNA, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We will actually talk about wrestling today. Yesterday was very basketball heavy. We had a great interview with Trevor Lee. Very basketball heavy yesterday.
The best NXT review we've ever had on this show.
True. Yeah, that's true. And, yeah. But more basketball today, because first, I thought the Lakers had a good day, because they made all their signings after our show ended. Yeah. We talked about the Walker Kessler deal, but then they did get Quentin Grimes, and they got Sandro. I like both of those deals. Colin Sexton, I like that deal as well. I think they overall had a good day. Still a lot for Walker Kessler, but if I'm just looking at the team, I'm like, all right, this is a solid team here. So I do think the Lakers had a good day. The Boston Celtics decided we cannot have the Lakers take all the headlines today. And boy, they decided to get headlines in maybe the worst way imaginable. We knew a Jaylen Brown trade was probably coming, right? It seemed like the writing was on the wall, because they were trying to trade him for Giannis, and that didn't work out. And then once you throw a superstar into trade talks and those trade talks get out, feelings get hurt, it's tough to repair. Jaylen Brown is already making headlines in the offseason because he's like, this was my favorite season, this was our best season ever. Dude, you won a finals MVP. What? Huh? This was your favorite season? So it already seemed like the writing was on the wall. He was going to be done. So they traded him. Yeah. What did they get in return for Jaylen Brown?
Giannis,
not Giannis.
Giannis Antetokounmpo? No.
Not Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Kawhi Leonard got traded.
Not Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, so Kevin Durant's on the market.
Not Kevin Durant. No, that one didn't happen either.
Sticking with Houston, Sengun's on the market.
No, they did not get Alperen Sengun. No.
All right, so the Spurs, they might be looking to move De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, a little bit not as good as the previous names I've named, but somewhere in the middle. De'Aaron Fox, right?
Not De'Aaron Fox, no.
I don't think they're ready to move him, but he did have a bad conference finals. Your Thunder with Chet Holmgren, right?
No, not Chet Holmgren. No.
All right, sticking in the West, Jamal Murray.
No, the Nuggets were reportedly interested in Jaylen Brown, although depending on who you believe, that report might have been overstated, their interest. But they're reportedly interested. But no, not Denver, not Jamal Murray.
So I'm confused. I'm very, very, very confused. Who did they trade Jaylen Brown for?
Well, they got multiple first round picks for Jaylen
Okay,
Brown. Yeah,
okay, okay.
multiple first round picks. And they got a 9-time All Star who finished third in the MVP voting in 2019 and who has also been traded before for a finals MVP.
Ooh.
They ended up, SP3,
Mm-hmm.
with Paul George. Paul George. I could not believe this trade.
I saw multiple people who were just in shock. I saw multiple people.
Me, I was one of them.
Who was just laughing.
I was also one of
them
them too.
time. Yeah, I was. That was me. I was talking about myself when I said people were laughing because I just like, y'all traded him. Yo, didn't I say this though? Can I say this when Giannis got traded? I was like, Boston, what were you thinking? Boston should have got this deal done. Hugo Gonzalez? The difference between Giannis Antetokounmpo and Paul George in the year of our Lord 2026 for the Boston Celtics were Hugo Gonzalez.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's unbelievable. An unbelievable trade. Like, people were getting on the Lakers, like, oh man, you guys gave way too much. Y'all don't have no first round pick for the next 7 years. And I will say, like, yes, the Rob Pelinka did handicap the Lakers' future with not having any first round picks, not having any assets to make deals over the next couple of years. But man, Boston Celtics, like, in one trade, Brad Stevens may have erased most of the goodwill that he has with Boston fans because he assembled a team that won the championship in 2024. And then he just said, you know what? I could still live off of that for years to come in Boston. Nah, let me get all the Boston fans upset with me. Let me trade them for Paul George and 2 first round picks.
So I want to play a little devil's advocate here, just to try to be fair and balanced. You know, if nothing else, we're fair and balanced on this show. I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate. If you can flip Paul George and potentially and some of these first round picks, I don't know what name you're getting. I thought about Donovan Mitchell if Cleveland is willing to move.
What?
Donovan Mitchell. I even thought like maybe Jamal Murray, although here's the thing with Jaylen Brown. I don't think his trade value was super high. I think that other teams look at the chemistry and is like, I don't know if we want to bring that in here. It's a big contract. It's a bigger contract than Paul George. I could see where it was going to be tough to make some type of trade for Jaylen Brown and get the return that you want. Paul George, for all of his flaws, he's older, yes. He fits into a lot of teams much easier. Yeah. He's not going to like fully disrupt the locker room, especially now that he's stopped doing his podcast. He's an easier fit on the court because he plays the game that he plays. He can play off ball. He can play on ball. Still a decent defender. So he's still like a serviceable player. He's not as good as Jaylen Brown. On the whole, he's not as good as Jaylen Brown. But
he was a negative contributor for the Sixers in the playoffs this year.
I mean, Jaylen Brown was here's the thing about Jaylen Brown is he was a negative contributor for Boston. People just, Boston fans didn't want to admit it because they were playing so well. They were better with him off the court than they were with him on the court. We had this discussion last year when everybody's like, Jaylen Brown, MVP, Jaylen Brown. I was like, no, they're a better team when he's off the court. I can't give the MVP to this guy. He's a good player. He had a great season. But they were a better team with him off the court. So I understand the Sixers, Paul George in the playoffs. Come on now, we playoff P. But Paul George is he's a fine player at this stage of his career. He's a player I think a lot of teams would look at and be like, you know what? If Paul George is our third best guy, I don't know if he is a third best guy, but if he's our third best guy, okay, we can do something with that. So maybe Boston is looking at that and we can flip Paul George, and now we have 2 first-round picks. We can attach those to a deal, and we can get a player that we actually, find more useful. Again, I keep throwing out Donovan Mitchell. I think Cleveland is more likely to trade for Paul George than they are to trade for Jaylen Brown. I don't think either is likely. Don't get me wrong. I don't think this is going to happen. I'm just saying I think they're more likely to trade for Paul George than they were for Jaylen Brown.
I don't think anybody is more likely to trade for Paul George and that contract.
Okay,
getting paid $50 million this year.
Here's my argument on the other side. What other teams were trading for Jaylen Brown if this was the deal you took? You traded Jaylen Brown.
They were in the talks with Milwaukee. Hugo Gonzalez was their big sticking point.
Okay, here's the thing. Two points on that. What teams were trading for Jaylen Brown if this was the deal that you took? You traded him to the team that just beat you in the playoffs, a rival team. There was no better option out there. There were no better options to where it's we're going to trade him here. That tells me his value wasn't very high. I think you were probably just better off keeping him, because I don't think you needed to rush this decision. No. You could have waited until later in the offseason if you really wanted to trade him. But if this was your best option, kind of tells me his value wasn't super high. Second point on that, they were in the Milwaukee talks, sure. I think they were in the Milwaukee talks mainly because Giannis wanted to go to Boston. I don't think they clearly weren't very serious about this trade if they wouldn't include Hugo in there. If they really wanted Giannis, you would have thrown in this guy. You would have thrown in Hugo. He better be the second coming of Kobe Bryant at this point.
They need 2 bench players to be all NBA players because they could have got Giannis Antetokounmpo and said no because of Hugo Gonzalez and some dude named Shireman.
Is it Bradley Shireman? I actually kind of like him. I think he's kind of nice. I don't know how good he'll be. But
I think both players are good, but they ain't good enough for me to say no to Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I'm with you. But here's the thing with that trade, with Jaylen Brown. You weren't willing to include them. I don't know how serious Boston was. Boston's whole deal was, hey, Jaylen Brown is such a great player. We only need to give up 2 first-round picks, and we don't need to give up these young guys to get Giannis. And then you traded him for Paul George? So again, how good was Jaylen Brown? The second point on the Milwaukee thing, I don't know how serious Milwaukee was about wanting Jaylen Brown, and that's why they did want the young players as well. I don't think Jaylen Brown accomplishes anything for Milwaukee because he's a good player, but he still puts you kind of in a play-in spot. You get 2 first-round picks. It's okay, are those first-round picks going to be any good? In the Miami Heat package, at least you're getting 6th Man of the Year candidate, Tyler Hero, who's a very good offensive player, Khalil Ware, good rotation center. You got the 13th overall pick in this draft, which they got Nate Amit, which is good. And then you have more draft picks out. That's a far better package than just getting Jaylen Brown. So, yeah, I don't think Milwaukee was super serious about wanting Jaylen Brown, clearly. And I don't think Boston was super serious about trying to get trying to get Giannis, because if they were, they would have actually included these young players. So that's my devil's advocate of, I don't think Jaylen Brown had a lot of value. And if he did, he should have gone for more than Paul George and a couple first-round picks. I think Paul George has more value.
I just think they're bad. I just think this is a bad trade.
Oh, it's a terrible trade.
I think that you didn't have to trade. If this was the best that you could do, you didn't have to trade him.
Oh, I'm completely with you on that. I'm completely with you. I think this was a panic move of, oh, shoot, we we tried to trade him in the Giannis talks. He knows we tried to trade him. He's going on Twitch streams and everything. The relationship seems a little dead right now.
Over.
Yeah, but it's July 1st when this deal happened. The season doesn't start until October. Training camps don't open until September. You're telling me in 2 months you couldn't find a way to come together here? And
they didn't want to listen to Bill Simmons, who says they just need to sit down and have dinner together.
I mean, honestly, they should have, but
they should have. Yeah, I would have done that first before I'm just panic button freaking trying to trade him like a maniac. I'll take anything. This was like a fire sale, basically. This is a worse like salary dump trade than the Julius Randle.
No.
This feels
We're not
like
gonna
it.
Say that.
It feels like it.
Dude, they gave up. At least Boston got 2 first-round picks in this. Julius Randle, they gave up a first. They gave up a first and Julius Randle and got a second-round pick. This is nowhere near as bad as Julius Randle's salary dump.
I just think that Jaylen Brown is that much better than Julius Randle.
Sure.
And it feels like a salary dump.
Sure. If they had given up a first and Jaylen Brown and only gotten Paul George, then I'm like, okay, you know what? That's a pretty bad salary dump right there, because you didn't even dump salary. You dumped like $10 million in salary, because Paul George's contract is pretty egregious as well. No, this.
Dude, I would have been willing to try out Scoot Henderson. I would have bet on Scoot Henderson's future over Paul George in 2020.
I don't know what the Portland offer was, if there was a Portland offer.
Apparently it was a package including Scoot Henderson.
Then I would have 100% taken that deal over and just going with Paul George. I assume it was Scoot. There had to be more to there had to be more to it. You are gonna have to give up draft picks to that. But I would have definitely taken that deal more. It's just, I could not believe this was all they got for Jaylen Brown after saying Jaylen Brown was worth so much in a Giannis trade that they only had to give up 2 first-round picks. Just, what's not to understand, Zeno Hour? The advanced stats are down on Jaylen Brown because he's a bad player when it comes to advanced stats.
God damn, Jeremy. Jeremy don't like Jaylen Brown. That's the headline.
It's not that I dislike Jaylen Brown. He's a good player. And he had a great season. He's a Finals MVP. Like, he's a very good player. Good kind of undersells him a little bit.
He's a great player, actually.
Fact is, I think he's a very good player who had a great season. Fact is, the Celtics were better with him off the court than when he was on the court last season. He hurt the team more because he was kind of just a shot chucker, but he just happened to shoot the ball really well. Like, he shot the ball at a rate that he was basically shooting Kevin Durant level mid-range. Jaylen Brown's not a Kevin Durant level mid-range shooter, and we saw that in the playoffs as well. And, that's a reason why they lost in 7 games. It's the reason why they blew the lead to the Sixers. Now, I think on the Sixers, he can be very good. I mean, Maxi's great. Embiid, health is always going to be a thing. VJ Edgecombe.
And now there's an argument he's the best player on a team that could be like a top 3 in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Again, he's a very good player. But the advanced numbers are the advanced numbers. It's not like they're skewed to make Jaylen Brown look worse or anything. It's the same metrics for everybody. Jaylen Brown's metrics just weren't good for that team. I can see a world why, Jose saying they won't flip PG because he's a shot chucker. He loves shooting threes. They love shooting threes. I could see them keeping Paul George, and this is why I was trying to devil's advocate of, well, maybe they flip him and they find it easier to trade him than they were with Jaylen Brown. You got the 2 first-round picks to attach as well. But I ultimately do think they keep him, at least to start the year. He fits their offense with how he plays. He's still a fine defender. Not certainly the level he was, but good enough. And the Celtics system will insulate him a little bit on defense as well. But still just a baffling trade after Jaylen Brown had the season that he had. It's very baffling. I mean, Jason Tatum was coming off an Achilles injury. And that's fine. And Derek White sucked in the playoffs. And I don't think Jaylen Brown is a bad player or anything. He's a very good player. He still was part of a team that blew a 3-1 lead to the team he just got traded to. So,
yep.
Okay, he was good in the playoffs. He was their best player in the playoffs.
And that's coming off of the season before that, where they gave up 20-point leads to the Knicks twice at home to lose in the semifinals.
I don't want to be you with my Zeno Hour hatred right now, and I understand Zeno Hour's a Sixers fan. Yeah. What does it mean to be the best player in the playoffs on a team that blew a 3-1 lead and lost in the first round to a 7th seed?
It means you're the best loser.
Congratulations!
Congrats on being the best on a losing team.
Legitimately, though, is that supposed to be an accomplishment? Hey, you were the best player on a team that blew a 3-1 lead and lost to a 7th seed in the first round. Not like you went to the conference finals. You didn't even get into the second round. You blew a 3-1 lead in the first round to a 7th seed. But you were the best player, buddy. Great.
I didn't hear anybody complimenting Nikola Jokic on being the best player on the Denver Nuggets, who lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves without Anthony Edwards and Deontay.
Yeah, he got buried. Rightfully so.
He got buried for being the best player on a losing team. That's kind of weird.
Again, rightfully so. Because if you're supposed to be the best player, which Jaylen Brown was the best player on the Celtics this past season, then you got to get your team out of the first round when you are a 2 seed facing a 7 seed and you had a 3-1 lead. Honestly, a stupid take, Zeno Hour. He was the best player. Come on.
Job well done. Job well done, Jeremy. Tell him about himself.
What dumb trade's gonna happen today, SP3?
I don't know. We seem to be on a great trend when it comes to that. Probably the busiest first week of the NBA offseason that I've seen since 2016.
Insane first week. Absolutely insane. Really, really insane. And Kawhi traded, Giannis traded, Ja Morant got traded and no one cared. Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown traded.
Yeah, LaMelo Ball traded. Jaylen Brown traded. LeBron just leaving. And now he's going to pick his new team. I mean, that's kind of the next thing here.
Domino to drop, yeah.
Yeah, is where does LeBron end up going?
Unless Houston gets desperate to move Kevin Durant, and they might move him this week. The way things are going.
Yeah, really. I think LeBron probably makes his decision on July 4th. I think he pulls a Kevin Durant and makes a decision on July 4th, which is hilarious. No, I get
Mitch Rob went to the Celtics.
Yeah, he went to the Celtics. Yeah. That was the other baffling thing about trading Jaylen Brown is you're not rebuilding. You're not you just got Mitchell Robinson. Clearly you're trying to compete. And then you trade Jaylen Brown, who helps you compete, for Paul George, who's a lesser talent than Jaylen Brown. Absolutely. I really can't get over. There's so much to this deal of it's not only trading Jaylen Brown for kind of pennies. You traded him to the Sixers. You traded him to a rival team that just beat you in the playoffs.
That would be like the Thunder trading Kevin Durant to the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, trading him, not him deciding this is where I want to go. We would never do that. It would never be especially if we didn't have to. unless Kevin Durant came to us and was like, hey, I only want to play for the Warriors, trade me. And it's like, well, your hands are kind of tied. I'd still ship him off to Utah and play. I don't give a fuck what you want. You're going to Utah. We got the leverage here. But, yeah, Durant made the decision to go to Warriors because he's a bitch. We're 48 hours away from Kevin Durant. Fuck Kevin Durant Day. Absolutely baffling that they traded him to Philadelphia. Insane.
Very confusing.
Yeah. I know, Zeno, I know you're a Sixers fan. You're trying to like talk yourself into this Jaylen Brown trade. You don't need to.
You ain't got a lie to kick it.
Yeah, I don't want to say like lie, but you don't need to try to effectively lie.
Lie to yourself, not to others.
I will say lie.
That's what I will say. I would say lie to yourself and not everybody else.
Keep those
lies to you. Talk to yourself in the mirror and tell yourself all this lies and BS if you don't want someone to tell you that you lying to yourself.
Talk him up in that he's a very good defender. He's a ball dominant player, but maybe he can give up a little bit when it comes to Embiid and Maxey. He's never played with a point guard on the level of Embiid and Maxey, or at center on the level of Embiid and Maxey. Derek White is good. Tyrese Maxey is better. Their centers, Porzingis, Horford, okay, like they're not as good as Joel Embiid. I mean, maybe this version of Joel Embiid. He's a great play driver. Like he's great when he puts his head down and gets to the basket. Like there are positives of Jaylen Brown. Again, very, very good player. You don't need to be like, well, he's the best player on a team that blew a 3-1 lead to a 7th seed. That doesn't make him look good.
No.
I don't understand why the advanced metrics don't like Jaylen Brown. Because they're the advanced metrics. Come up with a new formula that makes Jaylen Brown look better then. I don't understand why 2 + 2 is 4. Why are they making the second 2 look so bad in this equation?
I don't understand why advanced metrics don't like Jaylen Brown. You literally say, I don't understand why numbers don't like me.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Why do numbers not like me, Bob?
Yeah, Kyrie is better than Maxey. That's fair. I mean, Boston Kyrie, he put up numbers. I think Maxey in this system and the way he's going to play next to Jaylen Brown is probably a better fit than that version of Kyrie. And this version of Jaylen Brown's better than that version of Jaylen Brown as well. That was young Jaylen Brown. So, but on the whole, yeah, I can't say that Kyrie Irving is not as good as Tyrese Maxey. Absolutely insane trade. But anything else happened in basketball? I mean, a lot happened in basketball yesterday, and the Lakers signed everybody. Good for them. I like their team.
All their signings for one day. I do like this team a little bit better than the team that we had at the start of last season. It's just about how it's going to be executed on the court and who the hell is going to play defense on the perimeter, because we are putting way too much on Walker Kessler's back because he's got to defend everything that comes at the rim because he has no defenders on the perimeter.
Quentin Grimes is good. Quentin Grimes is a good defender.
Yeah, Quentin Grimes is good, but Colin Sexton is not. No. Austin Reeves isn't the greatest, and we all know Luka Doncic deficiencies. So it should be interesting in that regards. And I don't think that we have any more. We don't have any assets. We don't have much money left. So it feels like this is going to be the team going into next season. So not too sure how I feel about that. I would probably put them in the playoffs, but probably maybe like fighting for a play-in position at best 6 seed at this moment.
Okay. That's fair. 6 seed. A lot's going to depend on Luka's health. Yeah. But that's the case with any team. A lot's going to depend on the health of the star player. I like the team overall. I think there can be potential issues with DeAndre Ayton and if he's willing to like accept a bench role, and if not, how's that going to play in the locker room? I'm always a little skeptical of any team that makes big sweeping changes to their team, and this is a team that is literally going to have 3 new starters from last season's team. That's pretty big sweeping changes to the team.
Basically, we're only returning like 3 guys from last 3 or 4 guys from last season.
I think if they can bring back Hachimura, which is questionable.
It'd be difficult. I know. The last report I saw is that they're not ruling out getting Hachimura. It really depends on what other interests he has on the market. I know that the Spurs are interested in bringing him in.
The Spurs just signed Tobias Harris, so I think
they're out. Yeah, they're out of that.
I like that move by the
Tobias
Spurs.
Harris, yeah, that's a great move by the Spurs.
That feels like their Isaiah Hartenstein signing,
Mhm.
where I don't think he's as big of a need as the Thunder needed a center like Hartenstein, but I think he's the type of player that they need in. We got a lot of guys on rookie deals that in a couple of years it's gonna completely kill our cap. But for right now, we got this money. Let's go out and get a guy who fills a big need for us. Maybe not a big need, but who fills a need in that we have post scoring, stretch scoring, solid defender. His defense was a little bit underrated this year in Detroit. Now Detroit has a great system, but San Antonio has a great system. So I'm not super worried about his defense. Now that's a really good signing for San Antonio, and I mean they were already worried me because they beat us last year, but this makes them better. Like, it makes it
better. It's really kind of a toss up on what you kind of value more. Who you're picking and coming out of the West, but I expect most of the predictions for the Western Conference to either be Oklahoma City or the San Antonio Spurs. Everybody else is playing for third place at this point with those teams. So yeah, if we can keep Rui Hachimura, that would be key because we do need some 3-point shooting, and he is a guy that has been more willing, especially at the end of last season, to play some defense as well. And Luka's improved on defense. Not that anybody wants to mention that. You only hear that from me, but I have seen the improvements from Luka Doncic on defense. So I am hopeful. I am more hopeful than dreading these moves from the Los Angeles Lakers. So.
I take offense to saying you're the only person who said this when I was literally on this show with you saying this last year. You're just not going to acknowledge. You're just not going to acknowledge that I also said this and credited Luka Doncic.
Was this before or after I had to pull your teeth to do it?
You didn't. You didn't have to pull my teeth at all because I told you the only part.
I'll give you credit.
The only part where we disagreed on is I said it was more after the All-Star break, and you said it was more in like January and stuff. But the numbers bared that it was more after the All-Star break. And that's the only part where we really disagree. But certainly after the All-Star break, he was, I don't know about great defender, but definitely the effort was there. Whatever the system was, however they changed it, like it all worked. He was much better after the All-Star break in the second half of the season. Like this is why they were so great in March, is because Luka bought in defensively on top of LeBron buying in as the third option. They went 16-2 in March, and they were looking like a real contender going into April, and then injuries hit them. But no, the Lakers are one of the teams that I cover. The advanced stats were good to Luka when it came to his defensive rating. I don't know why.
Liked them. Oh man, numbers actually like Luka Doncic.
The advanced stats said Luka was better in the second half, so I will trust those. And I watched enough Lakers stuff to see that, his effort was definitely a lot better in the second half. And they did a much better job protecting him and putting him in better spots as well. So, come on now. I want a little bit of credit here. The Lakers are one of the teams I cover sometimes, unfortunately, but I'm much more in on the Lakers.
Look at this nonsense.
I'm much more. Yesterday was so busy. It was just like signing after signing after signing. And I've been so busy with basketball stuff the past 2 days because. So the teams that we cover are the Bucks. They've had a pretty adventurous offseason. The Clippers, they've done some things this offseason. The Nuggets, they haven't done too much, but like they got Jokic. So there's still like stuff to talk about.
Yeah, the report on the whole thing of Jokic delaying his contract extension.
Yeah. The Timberwolves, pretty adventurous offseason. The Lakers, I don't remember if I mentioned them, but the Lakers, the Warriors, they're always in the talk, and the Knicks. Those are the teams.
God.
Those are the teams that I cover for round table. So it's been a busy, pretty busy couple of days when you're covering the two big LA teams, the New York team, and then a lot of other teams who just happen to have good players or just happen to be in a lot of talks. Like the only team I think we could like add to that would be Boston, as far as kind of major market things happening type of deal. Jules sends us a super chat and says, I'm annoyed with the Celtics, but my years of my Boston fandom had been conditioned to be used to these Boston teams of making dumb trades. Not the Celtics though. Like I know I know like other Boston teams, especially the Red Sox, might make dumb trades, but the Celtics typically don't do this.
Have always been on the opposite side of that. Like one of the worst trades in NBA history, they were on the winning side of that with the whole Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce to the Brooklyn Nets trade that got them Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Like they were the winners of that, and they've been known as the winners of that for 15 years. Now they added their own trade to that lexicon of horrible trades, and now they're going to be the ones that we clown on the next time that they have a horrible trade out there. Immediately upon this trade being out there, people were putting the comparisons to the Luka Doncic trade, and it's just like, it's bad when you're getting compared to that trade.
Yeah, when I talked to Sammer yesterday, he brought that up. It's not quite as bad as the Luka trade, but I see the similarities in the Luka trade's worse because no one saw it coming, where we all kind of, again, the writing was sort of on the wall with the Jaylen Brown stuff.
Yes.
But if this was your best offer and option, you're better off just not making a deal. At least they got first round picks out of this, where it is very funny though. Like, how can you watch Walker Kessler go for 4 firsts? I know 2 are swaps, but for 4 firsts, be like, yeah, Paul George and 2 firsts are the option. I understand Walker Kessler was a restricted free agent, so the Lakers needed to do something to kind of pry him out of that, because Utah could have just easily retained him and re-signed him. Hey, make an offer. We can match that. Guess what? Jaylen Brown's under contract. You didn't need to trade him. It didn't have to happen. Baffling. Still baffling.
Stupid trade.
All right, let's quickly talk about TNA because they're dead again. Oh, very quickly before Court joins us. There's no point getting into Dynamite because we have 15 minutes before Court joins us. So TNA, Eric Young asked for his release, got it. Seems like he's going back to the WWE to be a player coach. Mike Santana, not part of the tapings last night and probably tonight. Leon Slater's getting beat on these tapings. Spoiler alert. And that's TNA. Dead again. Dead again.
That's TNA. Dead again.
I mean, Eric Young leaving. People, I joked about this in our group chat. they're gonna announce like they've re-signed Ryan Nemeth.
But it's just crazy to me that right now it's all the people that you would think are like the TNA lifers or the people that would never leave TNA. It's Tommy Dreamer. It's Eric Young. Next is gonna be Matt Hardy and AJ Francis. That's how it. But yeah, you have Macklin. Macklin was another one. Last year it was Josh Alexander. It was Ace Austin. It was the Rascals at the beginning of this year. These are all people that have become the faces of TNA. These are all people that had become identifiable with TNA, and now they are all leaving one by one. And how can you not call this a mass exodus with the frequency of these people that are leaving? Sami Callihan, another one who was kind of defined as a face of TNA, not during this run, but during her previous one. Tessa Blanchard was another one who was considered a face of TNA. Dani Luna was considered a future face of TNA. She's gone. It's just so like alarming, honestly. If you're a fan of TNA, I don't know how you could see all these departures and not have some concern about the future of the promotion.
Eric Young one is alarming to me because not only has he been there for the better part of 20 years, he already went to WWE twice and got released the first time, and the second time Vince came back and he didn't want to work there. And now he's still just like, TNA is in such a bad spot right now that I'm just going to go for the third time as the charm with WWE. I would rather just take my chances with WWE, which is not like firing on cylinders, which has its own issues in the ring and out of the ring. And he's like, yeah, I'd rather just go there, do player coach thing at NXT, and instead of just being here in TNA.
He said I rather go to the boat company that, you know, is still making a whole bunch of money, is still running cruises. They just don't have a lot of, you know, good stuff going on behind the boat scenes. So I'll still go over there because I'd rather do that than work the bar on the Titanic.
Yeah. It's like, that one's tough to me because, all right, fine. Tommy Dreamer was fired. Sami Callihan was fired. They were fired. Joel will definitely tell you Tommy Dreamer was fired.
Yes, he will.
Sami Callihan made it known he was fired. These guys were fired. Macklin wanted out on his own volition. Eric Young wanted out on his own volition. Tessa wanted out on her own volition. Like, they wanted to leave. Instead of Tessa, okay, fine. CML's seemingly paying you more. You want to be there? Okay, sure, whatever. Macklin was a guy who could have been a face for the company, former champion and everything. Again, Eric Young's been there forever. Mike Santana's going to leave. Leon Slater's going to leave instead of just re-signing with the company. Eric Young's such a loss. Like, because you mentioned like the Hardys and AJ Francis. I don't know what their options are. The Hardys, I think, can go back to WWE and like do a little bit of a nostalgia thing. I don't know how much Triple H like really wants them there, but
I don't know either. We've seen how Triple H acts stars like nostalgia acts, especially nostalgia acts that were wrestling when he was wrestling.
Yeah. I don't know how much Triple H really wants them there. But I think like if they can make them some money, which they can, then maybe he's willing to bring them in for a run. You know, I don't know what AJ Francis, Moose with these guys. I don't know if WWE has any interest in them.
And AJ Francis have seemingly confirmed they've signed multi-year deals. So
we know Moose. We got in trouble because Moose told us how long his contract was for.
I think it would have to be something pretty drastic. Yeah, if it comes out that Moose has requested his release, then we know TNA's in trouble.
Yeah. If Moose is ever like, I'm out of here, then there are some issues. I just don't know what like other options are for like Moose and AJ Francis. The Hardys, I think, have other
MLW.
Options. Yeah. Yeah, MLW could be an option. Do they view MLW as an upgrade though?
I mean, if they're still around, I guess if they're still around and TNA is not going to be around for much longer, then yeah, that sounds like a better option for you to go to.
Look, I think it's a better option, but I don't know how many wrestlers view it. I don't know what the kind of what the consensus is on MLW. You know what I mean? Like clearly it's a good option.
I don't know what the consensus is on TNA. All I
Oh, I
know
think
is what people in TNA think of TNA, but I don't know what like a wrestler who's gonna have TNA as an option thinks of TNA in the wrestling landscape. Do you feel like TNA is a good option for you to go work if you are unable to get a deal in WWE and AEW? Because I think that we can all assume that there is I'll put a safe number on it. I'll put like 85 to 90% of pro wrestlers out there that aren't signed, they want to be signed by the top two promotions because that's where they can make the most money. If that is one of the things that they look into for where they want to work, money being a very high priority, then it should be WWE or AEW or both that you want to go to. Now, with that in mind, that 85 to 90%, that remaining 10 to 15%, and some of the 85 to 90%, which percentage of them view TNA as an option whatsoever? That's what I want to know.
I will start this poll question, Vob. I'm changing up the answers a little bit, but there's the poll question. If people want to vote before Court gets here, where will Court be when he joins us today?
We should ask Court, would he buy TNA? And then he asks us for what price? And we say 40 million. And see what he says.
Okay. Okay. If I'm a wrestler, and yeah, obviously the top two are the top two. If I'm looking at my other options, here's where I can sell myself on TNA. You're on the AMC. It's the biggest network that isn't one of the top two promotions, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's not close.
We got the Hardys here, who are big major stars, bigger draws. We got Santana and Slater, who have been featured.
Gone, so I can't talk myself into Santana and Slater knowing.
Well, we have former WWE talent like Cedric Alexander and Nick Nemeth and Mustafa Ali.
It's not so much about the talent, because MLW has talent, indie people have talent. Like, it's not so much about the talent. I'm trying to look at it from a almost like stability and opportunity perspective of, okay, I'm on AMC. There's allegedly a partnership with WWE. And they got some WWE talent in the Knockouts TV title tournament. So maybe I can get a good look by WWE by joining TNA, which is a real thing. I think those are the two biggest selling points when it comes to TNA, honestly. It's not so much about the talent. Again, you can work good talent all around the world. It's not so much about the schedule, because MLW has a similar taping schedule. Now TNA, at least you're only a week behind, or 2 weeks, while right now MLW is still playing catch up from a couple of months ago. But they're getting a little bit closer when it comes to that. But the schedule's still the same, as where you're working basically like 2 events a month, 2 taping events a month, and then otherwise you can do whatever else you want to do. So it's not so much the schedule. I think those are the biggest selling points when it comes to TNA, though, is sort of the opportunity and the potential look by WWE.
Well, I think that's what I was trying to say. I think that also it's the talent that you have on roster and what they have been able to do and what they have been able to achieve, whether it be on the TNA roster or where they go afterwards. That should be a part of the sales pitch for TNA and the legacy of TNA. Like, for most of us, I think in the chat, and for me and Jeremy, when we say TNA, we think about a lot of their dumb mistakes or stupid moments throughout their history, or bad moments that they've had in recent months, and bad PR that they've had in recent weeks. But for a lot of people, especially wrestlers, they grew up on TNA. They remember when the person tells them TNA, they think of AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe. They think of Illa Skipper walking the cage. They think of Kurt Angle making the jump over. They think of Sting. They think of Christian Cage. They think of the Jeff Jarrett's of the world, the Monty Browns, the America's Most Wanted, the Beer Money, the Motor City Machine Guns. The fact that TNA has 25 years of history to stem off of, and that nostalgia and that fandom that's in a lot of wrestlers, I think that is another appealing part of why anyone on the independent scene or anyone leaving WWE want to go to TNA, is because they do have a legacy. You do know they're going to be around, and they do have a solid roster of guys who have experience in WWE and around the world, and major stars that have made a difference for TNA, that can make a difference for these stars' careers by just working with them.
Yeah. Those are all good selling points as well, especially we talk about, WrestleMania moment. So many people just grew up watching WrestleMania, and that's their dream, to have that WrestleMania moment. TNA at 25 years old now, 24 years old, nobody talks about like having a Bound for Glory moment, but people do have fond memories, like you said, of like the X division and the Knockouts division and things like that. It's not to that level anymore. I mentioned that on Monday, like that video package to open Slammiversary. It's like, hey, look at all the great things we did 20 years ago. And now it's like, look at the state of things where we're doing 10-minute Ultimate X matches. It's just,
I just saw that the other day, that Ultimate X match was only like 11 minutes.
Yeah. I hated that finish too. I hate that finish.
I hate the fact that they have done that multiple times.
That's probably why I hate it too. Is like, we just saw this like last year. It feels like,
and you did it better. Even though that the finish last year was botched, that's a better idea than, the two baby faces are fighting over the belt, and then the heel just jumps up and grabs it and he wins. Yeah. I like the one where it was creative. Didn't work out very well and didn't plan out in execution, but Leon Slater grabbing the title, coming down and getting speared in midair, and then Moose grabbing the title is much more creative than Cedric just taking the title from Amazing Red and Leon Slater grappling over the title.
Yeah, I hated that finish, but it is a dumb rule of like, you got to drop down with the title. It's like, why? I unhooked it. It should be mine.
And that has only become a rule in recent years. Remember, I've seen Ultimate X's where the match was over once they unhooked the title from.
Yeah, they changed it so they could basically do this finish because they don't do this in ladder matches. The Hardys unhook the titles; they're just the champions.
Exactly.
Yeah, they changed it to just do this finish. That's it. It's so lame. It's Mitchell Robinson says he did not want to leave the Knicks. Well, that should make Boston fans feel good.
Yeah, that should integrate yourself in Boston very well, sir. Very well. I'm sure all the Boston fans will be definitely understanding of your feelings.
That's good for Mitchell Robinson. He's like, I didn't really want to leave, but they offered me more money, and the Knicks weren't going to pay me, so went to Boston.
Well, I actually did a review for Slammiversary for True Hill Heat yesterday, and I actually was positive about that show.
Really?
In retro, after a few days sleeping on it, I was like, in retrospect, I feel like that was actually a better show than the two WWE shows over the weekend. It was a more consistent. But it was
it's the Jaylen Brown. It's the 2026 playoff Jaylen Brown.
A lot of people actually liked Night of Champions. I know you probably didn't, but I'm sure Xeno Hours of the world and all the other WWE drones enjoyed Night of Champions. But I feel like the praise that Night of Champions got is because WWE has so superbly lowered the bar on their PLEs this year that a fine event, probably a middle of the road, because I gave it a thumbs in the middle, Night of Champions, a middle of the road show, they think that it's the best show ever because the bar has been lowered.
It's not only that, it's results matter, right? People are like, oh, good, Obafemi won. Oh, Sami Zayn won. So we're happy about this. Yeah. All right. Our guest is here. He's a multi-time guest on this show. We're going to get the answer to our poll question here of where will Court Bauer be? He's joined us from the swamps before. He's joined us from outside the venue we've seen the car parked out. He's been in the office. Where is MLW owner promoter Court Bauer today? Court, how you doing? Where are you?
Hey guys, how's it going? I am here about to do some crabbing.
Oh my gosh, he's on like a leak out here. What happened to his phone?
Whoa, am I back?
Okay, there it went.
I was worried you dropped it in the water.
Yeah.
I almost did. How's it going, guys?
We're well, Court. How are you?
Can't complain. Unless I drop my phone in the water, which almost happened. Then I'm going to have to use the crab trap to get my phone, which is probably just pointless.
Are you like a big fishing person?
Big fishing person, big hunting guy. There's not much to hunt this time of the year down here in South Carolina. Just some wild hog, which is kind of a death wish. But you can try. You just got to be quick and fast to jump up a tree if they come at you and you're not ready.
Yeah, I've seen Atlanta. Those wild hogs will definitely kill you. Yes.
They're not messing around.
No, not at all. All right, Court, you're here to talk about a number of things, but let's start with the Southern Crown Championship. We're going to get a new champion this Saturday on MLW Fusion in a bunkhouse match. A little sad it's not a blacktop brawl match, but maybe down the line. But tell us about the decision to create this Southern Crown Championship and what fans can expect with it moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is a title we've thought about. A lot of times, like, you think about championships and old memories you have, and, like, there's, like, certain titles that have, like, a vibe to them. Like, that's, like, your brawling title. They used to have a Brass Knucks title, a Western Heritage title, and every title, there's the stepping stone titles, right? And then there's kind of, like, the Right Under the World title was always, like, the Intercontinental or U.S. title back when I was a kid. And I was like, Southern Crown's kind of an interesting opportunity for us to kind of embrace our roots here in Charleston, but also kind of be an opportunity for some new era talent to get the first taste of gold. And I think it's going to be ultimately kind of a title where you're going to expect a lot of blood and brawling around it, and kind of give it that vibe. Oh, something just jumped out in the water there. I would pan, but I'm worried my phone's going to drop in the water. I'm not that smooth of a cameraman.
Somebody did ask when we can get the coal miner's glove match. That's a good shout right there.
It's funny. Like, anything on a pole kind of gets that instant reaction in the room when it comes up by someone. It's like, hey, what if we did this? Yeah, but we got to put it on a pole. And, well, yeah, you know how that often tracks with folks. It's not one of those things that people are dying to see. I think a quarter of a century later, people still have PTSD about a lot of things that are put on a pole back in WCW. And so I don't know if we're ready for the anything on a pole deal quite yet.
We need to put like a box around a ring, and then they did that. They put boxes on poles. Yeah,
they did that. The San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, yes. What ideas that were out here. All right, and the other thing that I'm told we're talking about today is the contract negotiations with Bishop Dyer. What's he asking for that you guys can't acquiesce here?
Well, yeah, Rich Bocchini broke it down pretty good. New Range Rover, 5-star hotel. Well, not like, oh, just this is the best rated hotel in the area. It's like, he's asking for, the Ritz Carltons of the world and, the JW Marriott suites. It's pretty nice stuff. And look, we're the conversations are fluid, but he recently dug in and is playing hardball. So, I want to be transparent with our audience and our fans. So, we got to a certain point where it was just not looking great, and we're just at an impasse. And obviously, there's rumors about Bishop and his future and where he's going next, and possibly theoretically, and I just wanted to be transparent with our audience. Like, this may get done, this may not get done, and just wanted to let everyone be aware of it. Because I remember the jolt when I was a kid, and I tuned into Raw one night, and they're like, "Yo, Macho Man Randy Savage isn't here, man. The guy you've seen in the last decade around here, he's gone." And it was just such a jolt. And I'm like, man, I always want to, if I have the opportunity just to kind of disclose what's going on, I would like to, and do it in a way that the audience has context. And so hopefully, as this plays out, I'm confident we can try to get something done. It just has to make sense for both parties. He's been an amazing talent. He's been a great team player along the way, great world tag team champion for us, and a guy that really likes the Southern barbecue food. So we have a lot we bond over, but there's one thing right now we're not on the same page.
All right, if Bishop leaves, sorry, SP3. If Bishop leaves, you got to go on the air and spoil like his WWE alleged WWE like return. But like, tune in to SmackDown tonight. Bishop Dyer's gonna come out of a box with Danhausen. You don't gotta say that'll put butts in the seats, but we gotta spoil things out here.
So you're assuming he's gonna come out of box. I think he's on a pole.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Bishop Dyer's gonna have dog food covered all over him still, and we're just gonna go back to this.
Little Judy Bagwell magic right there.
Oh, the forklift. Oh, man.
Perfect.
Brutal.
I think Bishop Dyer's a big dude, man. I mean, you're gonna have to have that ring reinforced, the ring pull reinforced. But look, I don't, I want to always have success wherever he goes, and you always want to part ways amicably. But at the same time, my goal is for you to see him in MLW again and in the immediate future. But I will say this week on Fusion, I'm gonna have to make a tough call, and I'm gonna make a decision. I'm gonna make Bishop Dyer aware of that. I'm going to make Donovan Dijak aware of that, and MLW Nation aware of that. So at some point, you just have to kind of move on, or you resolve this. So I think on Fusion this Saturday night at 6:05, YouTube Beeps BN, we're gonna get something done and share that with the fans.
So what's kind of been the ripple effects with the whole contract negotiations with Bishop Dyer? He has a tag team with Donovan Dijak. He's been such an important part of MLW. So what's kind of been behind the scenes, what you've had to deal with the contract negotiations and all the ramifications of that?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts when you have when you have a guy that is playing hardball and he's a champion. I mean, every company's had it. Back in the day, you had it with Brett and Vince. Every company's had something weird at some point, and you just try to find something that satisfies the fans, the title, and the integrity of titles. Because I hate vacating titles. It sucks. It's like the last resort, but I really believe the integrity of that lineage to try to stay as clean as possible. So the next champions, they can be the best champions they can be because they beat the guys that were champions. So that's important. So you always figure that in. Then you also figure in how this impacts Dijak and how that can work out. And also just, you want things if relationships are at impasse, you want to kind of, if you have to hit pause, do it in a way that they understand and you understand them and there's respect there.
I'm going to jump ahead to October with Slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse is returning in October.
It is.
I've been asked to pitch this by Joel, who the other co-host on this show. Have you thought about doing a comedy show, Laughter House, before Slaughterhouse?
Ooh.
You can say it's a terrible idea. It's honestly better if you say it's a terrible idea.
It feels like this is something that should also include a poll. No, I haven't thought of Laughter House. I've been in some writers' rooms in wrestling where you're like, is this going to be a show called The Laughter House? Because it's getting really funky and weird. Probably, I think there was a Cyber Sunday that got so funky and weird that you really thought it was the Cyber it really was like a laughing house kind of deal where someone was supposed to go to Steve Austin and tell him he was going to lose to Jonathan Coachman in a 2-on-1 handicap match, and that was pretty interesting. And I'm sure the writers, caught some heat for that, but that was an idea from the chairman at the time, Vince McMahon. I'm like, well, that's a pretty ballsy move. Just like this guy's like one of the biggest stars in the history, and I know you think a lot of Coachman and his heat, and so did Kevin at the time, but it's like, really? And so, of course, I think Steve may have hurt his back moving that week and couldn't come to the show in San Diego, unfortunately. And that was also, I think, a match that ended up with Goldust, Vader, and Jonathan Coachman in it. And somehow, I think in the middle of the match, Vader got vertigo. And you watch him, he breaks gravity, and flips and twirls like a fish out of water and falls. And these poor Dustin Rhodes is looking like, Dustin's one of the most talented guys out there. He's like, what am I going to do with this? Live TV, man. You never know what's going to happen. I just wow. I guess this is, Steve had some good instincts here. This could have been Steve. He dodged the bullet that day. But, you look back and you laugh at it. But it was some of these ideas, man, they're not all good. You just want to have a bang after most of them are successful.
So what you're saying is Laughter House is a terrible idea on the level of Jonathan Coachman beating Steve Austin.
I'm just saying, if you're going to go there, call Steve Austin and say, hey, let's do the match that never happened. You and Coachman and Goldust, 2-on-1. And that's your main event. It's a main event anywhere in Laughing House history.
Wasn't this like a crazy time in WWE? The latter half of
it's always a crazy time in WWE.
Well, I know that, but there was a lot. I know there was a lot of different changes that went on, and it usually was around Batista because Batista had that shoulder injury around that time. That was around the same time that Eddie passed away as well. Mm-hmm. So, explain kind of what's your memories of that time period.
It really started that summer. With a wellness policy that was installed that then led to, we were starting to push Bobby Lashley, and he then had something they called elevated enzymes, and it wiped out half the SmackDown roster and was going into the Great American Bash, which was Great Khali and Taker originally. And then Khali was sidelined. And there was also a lot of things that were being neglected at the time in talent relations, a lot of paperwork, medical work, et cetera, from what I recall. And of course, John Laurinaitis was so stunned, right? But it wasn't. Let's put it this way: Jim Ross is the best talent relations manager, department head I've ever seen in the history of the business. He could have run like a college level program. He was just so excellent at it. So it was big shoes to fill, but it was sloppy. And so a lot of stuff just kind of, you neglect stuff. It comes to a head eventually. And it really blew up like a volcano that June, July, when we just got wiped out there. Then you just had some bad bounces with Batista having some pulled you saw the back muscle just roll up his back. Literally on TV, it was horrifying. And the guy is such a badass dude. He still went on and wrestled the rest of the match and refused to stop. It was insane. And you had the terrible, terrible, heartbreaking passing of Eddie. So, you try to make the best plans as you book and you go into that summer. You get wiped out. Then things get blown up again and again and again. Then the Steve Austin stuff. I mean, it was just a very turbulent year in WWE from a just talent level issue where you try your best for creative, and the creative was you're reverse engineering off of what you were dealt with, and that was tough. But you somehow figure it out. I mean, I think when you have the resources of WWE, even when you don't, you just got to figure out what's the best you can give to fans and give the talent and try to somehow tourniquet this thing and make it still work. And, the business goes on. How bad it looks today in that situation, 3 weeks from now, it looks totally different. Although that year, it was like every 2 weeks you're just getting dinged with something. It was tough. And I remember a lot of days sitting there with Dusty Rhodes was sitting in the office. It's what's going to come next? You don't know. You just kind of just try to put your best foot forward. But it was a wild time for sure. And then of course you wrap up the year just about with a pay-per-view where it's internet voting, and yet it's not kind of internet voting. And it was then Vince was like, no, it's got to be real. And you're okay, but this is going to get really weird. And as a pay-per-view concept, Cyber Sunday really never worked. But I think it had merit as a weekly like a thing you could do on weekly TV just to kind of spice up a weekly show once in a blue moon. But building a pay-per-view where fans don't know what they're getting in any way, it could be a steel cage match or a lumberjack match. It really is a hard sell for fans to part with their money back when you had like, pay-per-views every month.
Sorry, I missed my internet cut out, and so I had to.
See, it's the Cyber Sunday of it all. It's the curse of Cyber Sunday.
Exactly. So I just came in at the tail end of the conversation there. All right.
I'll start at the top. Now backing up. No.
It's Joel's fault for presenting this bad Laughter House idea. I just blame everything on him. Circling back to MLW. Actually, real quickly, I do have another question about just kind of bad pitches and everything. Besides Steve Austin,
come to the right man.
I know we've talked about bad pitches before, but like, is there any other ones that are like, why are we having this guy beat this guy? Like, what is the logic behind this one?
Oh, I mean, that happens a lot, and it's debatable about, are you on the right side of that argument? And you're like, there's guys that got really pushed hard, and you're like, is it justified? And sometimes you're surprised to learn there's like data and merchandise or something, or, ticketing. You'll see the surge when they're announced. Like, oh, well, I might not see it, but the fans do. I got to wrap my head around that. And it's interesting because it's very unique in that you can, if you're writing a TV show, you're mapping out, UFC big fights. You don't have the data like wrestling has, or gives it to you weekly, whether it's analytics on streams or social media, where you can course correct so quickly. The problem is you got a lot of stubborn people in the room, usually the promoter that just buys in. It's hard to like pull back because you're just got this emotional investment or some sort of, or like there was a lot of times, and it's more recent times I understand, where it's like, they sign a talent for like a very fat contract where you kind of question if it's warranted. And the guy's catching on that doesn't have that contract, and he's not getting paid the 7 figures. He's getting paid modest 6 figures. And they're like, yeah, that guy's great and all, but we got to get a return on this investment. We're paying 7 figures. We're like, that guy's cold. That guy's cold. He's ice cold. What are you going to do? And if the boss says that's who you're going with, because they got to figure out how to get a return on the investment, then it's like you're really in a tough spot. And that's that's a problem still to this day. Guys that they should be over based on merit, but guys, when you look at the bottom line and the return that the league is getting, or a federation or a WWE, it's not quite there. And so there's sometimes tug of wars with that. And I remember like, one of the guys that was a real big head scratcher during my time, this is a million years ago, was like Sylvan got a real big push. And we're just like, relative to other guys we had, like we were trying to get CM Punk from OVW to WWE on the main roster. And, we were kind of like, OVW was clogged with talent. I was like, this Punk is ready. And this is before ECW. And it was like, no, we want to do Sylvan vignettes and get Sylvan up and running. And I'm like, okay, but like, I think this is going to work. And I wasn't the only one, but it's like, if like a Pat Patterson or someone like that is just, championing a guy, you can't fight City Hall. It's Pat, he's going to, and then at a certain point though, Pat would say like, okay, I get it. Didn't work. Now that damn Paul Heyman just took CM Punk to ECW, and it's, damn, now let me look back, who's there. So, it's very competitive back then between the writers' rooms, because we all would see, most people can see the talent, some would, and then you have this political dynamic at play where you're not sure how that's going to disrupt things. So there's so many people in that kind of dynamic where you just don't know how it's going to shake out. But you try to do the best. I mean, that talent's in that position, Sylvan, and okay, what are we going to do here? All right, and you give it a whirl. But my preference would have been to launch CM Punk instead of Sylvan in that particular case. No disrespect to Sylvan, but historically speaking, I think the data supports that would have been probably a decent bet.
I think you were in the right. You're in the right there. You won that battle in the long run. Was there anyone that you were high on that just didn't work out due to like timing, or due to them not pulling the trigger when you really wanted them to, as far as like talent in developmental that you wanted to bring up?
One guy, there's a few guys. We had this program at the time called Deep South Wrestling, and it was an abomination of a developmental league. It was not a Jim Ross project. It was a John Laurinaitis trying to copy a Jim Ross development system, and there was no oversight. It was out of a suburb of Atlanta, and they never really got TV properly running after sinking in a lot of money for 2 or 3 years. They just didn't want to share their footage. It was hard to get footage out of there, but they had great talent at the time, and a lot of guys that we were hoping that could move on to the main roster. Some guys survived it, some guys didn't. One guy that I always took a real interest in watching all the tapes, just looking at all the guys. And one guy was a young guy who was still trying to find his voice, but mechanically was awesome. He didn't have like the confidence quite there, but he had something mechanically, just had a cool look. And his name was Kenny Omega. And people forget.
Did he go on to do anything?
Hold on, let me get ChatGPT check on that. But that could rock a lot of people. I saw a lot of people that I thought would be big stars, and they just vanished. And it's like you never even saw them on maybe at a live arena, but you saw them like close. They do a lot of tryouts and stuff, and it's a bummer. But it's just how it goes. But like Kenny was one of those guys that somehow survived a really dysfunctional developmental system, and then went to Japan and just reinvented himself and lived there for years, which. That takes a lot of drive to do that. A lot of people say they're so passionate and they get their heart broken and stepped on in pieces. And they're like, yeah, I'm throwing in the towel. So I think it really speaks for someone when they can just say, okay, I finally signed some version of a WWE contract. Didn't work out. But that doesn't mean it's, my dreams and my future didn't work out. Just this moment in time didn't work out. So I think Kenny's one of the biggest glaring ones that you look and should have been a killer for them. And he could still, think about that. That was 2006. And that's how they identify him at some level back then. And he could be right now, teeing up for the next big thing at WWE. He's now doing it somewhere else, and he's had incredible success. So it's not the end of the day, which is the most important thing, I think, is the takeaway from that.
He would get a warning shot from Jey Uso. He wouldn't be allowed to use his bang, and Jey Uso would give him the warning shot and be over for Kenny. Yeah. I'm gonna get you in trouble for this last question here, Court. So I apologize in advance. Would you pay $30 million for TNA?
It's that number I heard, and it's there was a number floated around for Ring of Honor a million years ago when they were not a million but a few years ago when they were on the block when Sinclair was looking to exit, and they started about that, and they ended up going much lower. I don't want to disclose that. I know the number, but folks that told me I want to keep it confidential. But I think you got to look at the assets with this. What's the actual money they're getting from AMC? How long's the term? Do they have under contract? Do they have a video game deal? Do they have a toy deal? Do they have an international deal? Do they have a big sponsorship deal? What are the assets? And then you multiply, what their EBITDA is, usually by 10x, and then you see what they should be going for. So they have done some math to get to that number. But it's also one of those things where there has to be interest in the market to take that and buy it. Now, would they be bought by an agency? Look at TKO, right? Is there an agency that's willing to put out that money? I don't know. Is there an international or foreign investment group, a sovereign fund like Saudi Arabia that would? I don't know. They just exited Live. I don't know who buys it at that price point, but I think if they ever were to land it, it's great for all other owners of leagues to say, hey, TNA went for 30, 40 million. The reality of that, though, is there hasn't been a league outside of WWE that's been acquired for anything like that. Most leagues are not going for that price. But you have to really have the goods, and people that are going to buy it have to be pretty sophisticated to know if it qualifies for that price or not. And, I don't know if they're really for sale or not. That's the rumor, but didn't they decline to say that they actually aren't looking to sell? Or
that was the statement that was put out. We're trying to raise the money. We're coming up a little bit short, but we're trying.
Have you tried GoFundMe?
We're probably thinking to put out a GoFundMe. Yes.
Look, you never know what's out there, but I would say, I think there's always rumors about TNA too. And I think there's rumors about every company about are they going to be, sold, bought, shut down, whatever, merge. It's like TNA is one of those companies I think everyone thinks is something's going to happen, and they like you think they're going to go right, they go left. So it's like it's kind of the fun of wrestling, right? It's like you think you figure it out, and then something goes either awesomely great or haywire, but you're like, wow, that wasn't on the bingo card. So, I think it's great when you have more companies than less companies for competition, for opportunity, for talent, for opportunity for people in the front office to mix and match, production people come and go in different places. It just makes for a healthier ecosystem. So like, my hope is that company exists for a long time to come, and that, everyone finds success, the talent, the office, the fans. They have a lot of fans. They started literally the same month MLW started in 2002, within 2 weeks. And so, I look at them as kind of like, they embarked on the same thing I did way back when the Jarrett started it. And, I think it has great value to have a group like that around. So, fingers crossed for them.
All right, Court, I'm gonna before we let you go here, I'm gonna invite you to our charity stream on July 16th. I don't know if you see the ticker scrolling across there, but it's July 16th and 17th. It's a 24-hour stream. The proceeds are going to NAMI, but I want you on to play 5-Star Booker. I don't know if you've seen this game or played it or anything.
I haven't mastered it, that's for sure.
Okay. I want you to come on and play this game. I'm inviting all the promoters on to play this. I know you guys can just promote your own stuff and run your own companies, but like, I want to see how good you are with this hindrances potentially on you. So if you'd like to join us, the invitation is there. I apologize I'm doing this publicly to you, but we appreciate you around here. You can join us wherever you would like to. And if you don't join us, that's okay too.
No, I'm definitely down. Hit me with the details, and I'll put it on the calendar.
Okay. It's a 24-hour stream, so you can join me at like 3 a.m. if
Anytime
you're awake.
you want.
Yeah.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
You think I'm a 3 a.m. guy? I'm 47.
I don't know.
I am not a 3 a.m. guy.
Okay. You wrestling promoters are weird. You guys got weird hours out here.
All the other wrestling promoters ain't like this one. I'm going crabbing in the morning, man. I'm not trying to that bullshit.
All right, 6 a.m. before you go crabbing, then you can join us.
There you go.
Yes, I will be somewhere in the world, and I definitely not fine.
All right. Well, thank you, Corey. Again, if you don't, it's not a big deal. I know I put you on the spot there, and I appreciate it.
It's okay. We're putting you on a poll.
We got ideas for Ring of Hallucinations. Still, I pitched something to Scarlett, and she's like, Vince pitched me that exact same idea, and I was like, oh shit, this is terrible.
What was the idea?
It was
Oh, did he freeze right when he was going to tell you?
I think it's a dramatic pause, but he's very good. Like the hand is still.
Oh, I froze
Got
again.
it perfectly, yes.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay.
You're back.
It was the torture chamber where, like, the stretch machine thing. I was like, I have this idea where you're in, like, this chamber and you're torturing the victims and you're playing Crossfire, but there's also this torture chamber. And she was like, this is exactly what Vince pitched to us with the cross, like, gimmick mask and everything. I was like, that idea was terrible. And she's like, yeah.
That sounds like a Vince idea.
We're not going for good at Ring of Hallucinations. We're going for the dumbest.
Memorable.
Memorable ideas. Exactly.
Dumb and memorable. That's our goals.
I mean, look, I think there's an opportunity to save some money on a steel cage. You just, instead of having a steel cage, you just bring all the wrestlers, you build a ring in a tennis, right where you usually play tennis. Because I realized I was walking by a tennis court, and it's basically a steel cage, just in a different shape. And I'm like, why don't you just do it in there? You can literally have them, tennis balls. You have a tennis ball machine that shows those hits those balls really fast. Bam, bam. Just have it. It's a new War Games, like a country club War Games deal.
All right, I like this. We can go batting cages as well. Yeah. Imagine those pitching machines coming at you
with the bats.
Ooh, with the bats. Yeah.
I remember there used to be there was an ECW match when I first got hooked on it, like 93, 94. It was like the Funk Brothers versus Public Enemy, and it was like a baseball bat match. I was like, oh shit. And it was exactly what you'd think it was being. That's why I haven't seen it again. It was a deal.
See, I want to do like a mini golf I want to do like mini golf. I know AEW just did the fairway show, and that was really cool. But like, I want mini golf with all the like contraptions and stuff.
Yeah, well, like the windmill, you can put someone's head in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, it's just about everything in wrestling's been done, but the mini golf thing may be a new one. But Memphis may have done it. They did just about everything.
Well, then it's time to bring it back. Then, if they haven't done it, like it hasn't been done recently, so I'm gonna bring it back.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You got to get the clubs involved. But I definitely think the more you have like decorative things that you can do wrestling spots off, like there's like a lighthouse you can climb and like hit someone with an elbow or something. That probably.
Yeah. All right. Whenever you need a new writer, Court, hit me up. I'm here for you.
Clearly. Shoddy internet aside.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
I got 12 Court. I got 12 kids. They all use the internet at the same time. You know, I get boxed out here on my own internet that I pay.
I'm in a damn bayou and I got better internet. Come on, man.
Exactly. What are we talking about?
What's going on?
Verizon is better than 12 kids trying to use the same internet. Okay.
It is the summer. I'm sure they're getting their gaming on.
Exactly. On Roblox and Five Nights at Freddy's and whatever
Minecraft,
the hell they're playing.
all the other
Minecraft.
stuff.
Yeah. Whatever they're playing out here. Thank you for joining us today, Court. Let everybody know where to find MLW, what's going on with everything, and anything else you want to plug.
You got it. You can watch MLW Fusion every Saturday night, 6:05 Eastern on YouTube, Veeps, free. Also on BN Sports on cable TV. We're coming to Charleston right here in South Carolina, September 12th. Get those tickets at MLWgo.com. And check out MLW.com for all the latest and greatest news. Every day we have a new match, new drama, new something over at MLW.com. And I'm going to go do some crabbing, boys. See you soon.
Enjoy. Hope you catch crabs, but don't catch crabs. And we will talk to you.
Thanks, Court.
This is kind of writing I can do for the wrestlers, Court.
Bye, Jeremy.
Thank you again, Court. I don't know why they continue to come on this show. I really don't.
I don't know why you say the things that you say. So.
What else? Why wouldn't I say these things? I'm not going to change who I am just because.
I'm not saying change who you are, but.
I feel like that's a fair comment to make. We didn't catch crabs, but don't catch crabs.
Okay.
Everybody watch MLW Fusion 605 on YouTube every Saturday. It's on Veeps and New Japan World as well. I'm gonna get a job in this writer's room for MLW.
Nope, you done talked yourself out of that one.
No.
Thinking about it.
Here's my new pitch. You hire me to know which ideas are bad. And so see? Wait, Jeremy Pitt? No, we can't use that. That's clearly not a good idea.
Jeremy thinks that's a good idea, so it's not a good idea.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm quality control here.
Gotcha.
One way or another, I'm gonna spend this into my favor, SP3.
Heard you.
I just got a message. I won't say from who. Very important person. You're the best wrestling show out there. Don't let SP3 tell you otherwise. There you go.
Whoever that is from.
They're very important. Don't say mean things about this person.
I'm not. I'm just shrugging. I'm like, I mean, if that's what you think. All right, cool.
Louis sends us $5 for TNA purchase funds. And that'll get us a contract or two. And Valo says, if we can't buy TNA, let's run a produce Ring of Hallucination show. And we had Adam on last week, so maybe
Adam was on his or whoever's in charge of the produce social media. They were not.
No, that's him. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. I figured from our interview, I was like, this sounds like him. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure for sure. But yeah, they were not too pleased with WWE pulling who was it? Marcus Mathers and Starboard Charlie from their upcoming events in July, and went on a scorch earth on social media. It was basically like, we love Marcus, but it's unprofessional to pull a talent this with just a couple of weeks before the show after they already guaranteed it, and it's for something that's not a full-time contract with the company. It's just an ID contract.
Yeah, he said they conned them. Yeah, Adam's not afraid. So
He's not.
No.
I like him.
Oh yeah. And maybe we can run a produce Ring of Hallucination show.
We can work something out.
AEW Dynamite was last night. It was not as good as our interview with Court Bauer. It was good, but it was not as good as our interview with Court Bauer.
Very, very good episode of Dynamite last night. One of their better post-pay-per-view events. I know I've been very critical of their post-pay-per-view efforts, but this one came in from the start, from the opening segment onward. It had a clear focus, a clear vision towards the next pay-per-view, towards the All In, and towards next week's big show, which is basically a pay-per-view.
So it opened with Ospreay talking to Renee, and then Moxley is there, and he's got the Death Rider patch, which I guess is a thing. I don't know. This has not been a thing, right? Like, I didn't miss anything here.
Apparently, it's like Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Need the patch.
Yeah, he's like, I don't give these out to anybody. I was like, I don't know, man.
I haven't seen you give it out to anyone whatsoever. So.
Yeah, like, I've never seen you give one of these things out. So he hands him the patch. Kenny sees this. Kenny is, of course, not like appalled, but like, all right, is this what we're doing out here? I like Kenny's just dry, like, nice patch.
Nice patch, but I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Will. You didn't give up on yourself. You won the Owen Hart Cup. Now you're going to Wembley Stadium. But Will was basically like, this is coming off passive aggressive. I see you looking at the patch. If you got a problem with this, just say it. He was like, it's not the way that I would have done it, but you do you. You do you, basically. And then MJF pulled off on both men, and he was talking trash, saying that it was a lover's quarrel. But Kenny told him that he'd be knocking on his door if he's able to get by Mark Briscoe. And MJF just laughs at him like, huh, like you would get a shot. He was like, anyway, I'll see your ass at Wembley Stadium, bruv.
Yeah, I like when he just looked past Omega and then right to Ospreay. Then later in the night, we'll talk about MJF and Mark Briscoe. I'm kind of doing the Kenny through line here. MJF did win. He continued to attack Briscoe. Omega came, ran him off, and MJF said that if you want the title shot, you can have it, but we can do it next week. But you have to put your future challenging for the AEW World title on the line, just like your pal Hangman, and I'm going to beat you and make sure you never win the title again. And Kenny had all night to make his decision. Surprisingly, he said yes to this. And so next week, not at Redemption, next week, Kenny Omega, MJF, AEW World title. But if Kenny loses, he can never challenge for the title again. How surprised were you at really all of this, the stipulation and the fact that it's next week?
I'm not too surprised about the stipulation. I think I've said this on this podcast in the past that I thought that Redemption would be Kenny putting up his career against Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Yes.
So the fact that they came up with the whole idea of Kenny putting up his future as an AEW World Champion, I felt like that was like a level down from where I was going with, but still it's around the same thing of Kenny having to put something up to face Max for the title. The big surprising part, honestly, for me is it happened at Beach Break instead of Redemption. Because not only was it kind of alluded to, basically based on the location of Redemption being in Montreal, being in Canada, but Kenny and Max had been teasing it literally in promos. You had Kenny in multiple promos talking about he's on his path to redemption following Forbidden Door. You had Max who says that Kenny's not going to get his redemption against him and he's not even going to get another shot at the title, all to just turn around and say that it's happening next week. So my thought is it's either Max's knee is worse off than we thought it would be, but then you watch last night's show and you see him put on a 20-25 minute banger of a world title match and you're like, are you really that hurt? Or is it more for the fact that Kenny winning the title at the end of the month and just holding it for 1 month until Wembley Stadium feels a little too short, whereas him winning the title next week gives him an additional 2.5 to 3 weeks to add on to the title reign. He can get in at least maybe another title defense before Redemption, before he probably faces MJF in a rematch at Redemption. And then he'll have another title defense after Redemption on the road to All In. So he'll have like 2 to 3 to maybe even 4 title defenses before he probably drops the title to Will at All In. So it's one of those reasons, or maybe a combination of all of those reasons why it's going down. So I was able to make sense of it, but I definitely was surprised that it's going down next week. And then when you hear the other matches for next week, that they're doing another match that most people thought was going to be at All In, and Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher on next week's show. I don't know what's going on next week, but they are definitely stacking that one and want to pop a big rating for next week's show.
I'm not surprised that if Fletcher and Takeshita is next week. I thought that may have been Redemption. I didn't think they were gonna wait until All In for that, but I could see that being at Redemption. Them still doing it next week is like it feels like you probably hold off until Redemption for that one. But Kenny and MJF being on free TV when it looked like that it was 100% going to be at Redemption definitely surprised me on that. Oh, yeah, there's the G1, so I guess you couldn't do that with Redemption with Takeshita. Yeah, that makes sense. MCAPs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess they're just trying to do it before Takeshita goes off to Japan for the month. But yeah, Kenny and MJF being next week is kind of nuts to me, because I assume it's going to be a rematch at Redemption, but doing it on free TV like 2 weeks before the pay-per-view is a little ballsy on there.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much that hurts the pay-per-view, because you're most likely not turning in. You're most likely not turning. Sorry, I don't know how much it hurts the pay-per-view, because you're most likely not tuning in to watch Kenny win the title at the pay-per-view, because he's probably going to win it next week. So you're just kind of watching the rematch, and maybe MJF wins it back. I don't know. But it's still kind of a crazy call to me. Triple threat with Andrade at Redemption? Maybe.
I don't see the need, especially when if you do the triple threat with Andrade at Redemption, it's totally erasing the option or the kind of the little carrot or bait that they showed us in the opening segment, where they kind of did tease a triple threat at All In between MJF, Kenny, and Will.
So that was my thought as well, of do they end up doing a triple threat at All In with those three? Because when I saw them all on screen, I was like, maybe we're not getting MJF maybe we're not getting Kenny and Will. at All In. And maybe next week they're doing it so early because they're actually going to do the triple threat match at All In. How you get there by doing Kenny and MJF next week becomes a little complicated. I guess Kenny wins next week. Do you do Kenny and Will at Redemption? And then do the triple threat at All In?
No.
What do you do? What are you doing at Redemption to get to Kenny and to get to the triple threat at All In?
I would think that you would have Kenny win next week, because another key to all of this is the All In ticket sales. All In ticket sales have been very slow. They've only surpassed 25,000 tickets sold, and the goal this year to a lot of the analysts and critics and puntins that have been watching this is about 35 to 40,000. So if Kenny wins next week, that gives you more than a month. That gives you almost nearly like 2 months to basically build the whole pay-per-view main event, build it around Kenny, the idea of Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, or a Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, MJF main event for Wembley. But I think the key to this is putting the title on Kenny Omega next week. So then if you put the title on him next week, you could do a rematch with MJF at the pay-per-view, whether that's a lights out. I think it's going to have some stipulation to it, whether that's stakes stipulation, like maybe they do a draw. I've seen some people suggest they're going to do a draw next week. You do the 60-minute time limit draw next week, and then the pay-per-view, it's Kenny now putting up his career against MJF. There's a lot of different directions that they're going to go in. It is confusing, and I don't think that anyone's going to have like the pinpoint answer to what they're going to do at Redemption, what they're going to do at All In. But what it is doing is it's getting us talking about it. So I think it's the best move that they've made, because now people are actively talking about the world title picture and what it's going to look like going into Wembley Stadium. So it was a wise decision by AEW's part, one that I didn't see them going towards, honestly, myself.
The only reason I mentioned Kenny and Will at Redemption, I don't think it's a good idea. I think Will's moment is All In. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I only mentioned it because you're doing Kenny and MJF next week. Let's assume Kenny wins. You run it back at the pay-per-view, Redemption, but then if Kenny wins there, how are you getting MJF into the triple threat match at All In? He just lost to Kenny twice. I know, he wins a gauntlet or something. Like, you can get there, but it just feels a little too convoluted.
No, if you're doing the triple threat, you do Kenny win the title next week, and then the pay-per-view is the time limit draw or whatever you do, a non-conclusive finish to set up the triple threat. Honestly, to me, the best decision to go towards is Kenny versus Will.
I agree. I don't like
MJF
option.
MJF has so many other programs outside of the world title picture that are good enough and big enough to be on the All In card. Whether that's against Andrade stemming from his turn at Forbidden Door, or the Hangman Adam Page of it all, because I am paying attention to the fact we're getting more and more mentions of Hangman, so he has to be coming back very soon.
I think Hangman will be back as well soon. I don't know when, but what if Redemption, let's say Kenny wins the title. Redemption is MJF and Ospreay, and MJF says you got to put your All-In title shot on the line. And it's Kenny and Mox for the title at Redemption. And Kenny wins and Ospreay wins, and then you go to All-In with Kenny and Will.
That's one thing I'm like confused on, is how they're using Will Ospreay in the road to All In, because I was under the belief that another part of Redemption was, the redemption of a Kenny Omega going back after the AEW World Championship against MJF. Another part of it being Redemption is Will Ospreay wanting to get that win against Jon Moxley before he goes to Wembley Stadium. But the way they went about that whole story last night we seem to be further and further away from that Will Ospreay Moxley matchup, making me believe it's not going to happen until after Will wins the title after last night's show.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Is I thought it was going to be Will and Mox at Redemption, but after last night, I'm like, I don't feel like Mox is gonna. I still think there's a story of Mox talks to Will and is like, you need to prove that you can beat me to show that you're ready, type of thing, and it's like a respect match, and you could do that at Redemption. But after last night, it doesn't quite feel like it's there. And I don't know, running back, I guess you can run back Kenny and MJF at Redemption. I'm not super mad at Will and MJF at Redemption, Will's title shot on the line, Kenny and Mox.
I don't like that. There's no reason for Will to put his title on the line. His title shot on the line.
Well, it's MJF just being a dick. So
nah, that still makes Will. We're already dealing with a storyline that makes Will Ospreay look like an idiot. Don't let him do something that makes him look like a bigger jackass, an idiot. So no, I don't like this idea.
All right, what if we just do Will and MJF then? Fine, the title shot's on the line. We just do Will and MJF.
I don't see how that's necessary.
Then
I feel like the main reason why MJF's losing the title before Wembley Stadium against Will Ospreay instead of facing Will Ospreay at Wembley Stadium is because they want that feud for after Will wins the championship. I think that I'm almost sure that Will Ospreay and MJF are going to face later this year. It ain't going to be at Redemption.
All right, then what's Will doing at Redemption?
Him and Moxley versus Cope and Cage for the AEW World Tag Team Championship.
That sounds terrible.
Hey, they are 1-0 as a team now, so they're on a winning streak. Who knows? I think the right decision is Will versus Moxley. If you want another option outside of that, then a faction versus the Death Riders, since Will is now officially a member of the Death Riders, despite us going through a whole fucking angle in New Japan where Will said, I'm just getting help from him. I'm just rebuilding my neck. I'm not a member of the Death Riders. And he gets a patch and he immediately puts it on his fucking gear because this dude can't hold water. He's
stupid. He would put his title shot on the line at Redemption.
He is stupid. I don't need the guy we're supposed to root for at Wembley Stadium to be stupid.
He would put his title shot on the line. He would get baited by MJF so easily. So easily. I think Will and Mox is the best option too. But I thought Kenny and MJF at the pay-per-view was the best option, and they're doing that on free TV next week. So I
still think we're getting Kenny and Max at Redemption though. Maybe. It just feels like a weird call to do that on free TV and then do it again on pay-per-view. Look, maybe Hangman returns next week. He costs MJF. I don't know if you're doing MJF and Hangman at Redemption, though. Like, we just did that. What did you ban Louis for? Because he said MJF is generational, unlike Kobe.
All right, fair. I'll give you that one. But I don't think you need to do
timeout. I'll put him on.
Yeah, I think I've time. Yeah, I don't think you need to do MJF and Hangman at Redemption though. It feels like too soon to redo that.
I think Hanger should probably come back at Redemption. Maybe he's the one that stops Max from winning back the title. And maybe another reason why they're doing the matchup next week is so the Redemption matchup is a rematch. So then you basically are saying, Max, you have no claims to get involved at All In because we're giving you your rematch before All In at the pay-per-view before. So now you have to move on. You have to focus on Andrade, focus on Hangman, focus on whoever. You can't get involved in what Will and Kenny are doing.
All right, I can see that. See, to me, it feels like if you wanted to do that, you still do Kenny and MJF at Redemption for the first time, and then do the rematch on TV.
Well, I think that Kenny's facing Andrade at Grand Slam Mexico. I think after Redemption, that's going to be the next AEW World Title match.
Why do they want Kenny to be booed in Mexico?
Because he's going to get booed in the UK?
I guess. Maybe we just get heel Kenny Omega out of all of this.
I think the Mexican fans and the UK fans, they're not going to be able to boo Kenny Omega.
No, I don't think they will either, but they're going to cheer for Andrade and Ospreay either.
Especially not the UK fans. The UK fans have been begging for a Kenny Omega singles matchup at one of these UK shows, and now they finally get it, and it's against their boy, Will Ospreay. So they're ready for that.
No, I'm with you. I think Kenny will be cheered, but they're going to cheer for Andrade and Ospreay more, though. But they're not going to boo him, though. They won't boo Kenny Omega. God of professional wrestling. Clay Thompson of professional wrestling.
Oh God, this mother. After he put on the best match on Sunday, according to you,
he did.
You still are on this Clay Thompson nonsense. It's ridiculous.
Fine. The Luka Doncic is professional wrestling, not generational.
Wish I could ban you too. But I really loved how that was the focus of the show. The world title picture, MJF, Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega. They were the focus of last night's show, which made for a better show. When AEW does show long narratives, it's usually one of their better shows on Dynamite for their weekly TV show. This felt more like a weekly TV show than last week. I complimented last week because it felt like a mini pay-per-view or a pay-per-view preview, but this felt more like a wrestling television show. There was angles, there was promos, there was storytelling elements, and it's all building towards the big pay-per-views coming up and next week's big show.
MJF did retain the title. He defeated Mark Briscoe. Really, really good match. I love the finish.
Excellent match.
I love the finish of this match because I don't love MJF's Heat Seeker. Sometimes it looks a little silly, but him doing the Alabama Slam, rolling him, taking him by the leg, and then putting him in the rope to hit, I was like, "Ooh, that was good. That was good stuff."
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, excellent match here. Mark might be off TV for a little while, but that's probably fine. You could use a break there. MJF is going to lose the title next week. But, yeah, fantastic match between these two.
Yeah, they went out there. They worked really hard. It was physically intense. It had a bunch of memorable moments throughout. The Froggy Bow through the table. That table bump was gnarly. He was so close to the guardrail that when the table breaks and it snaps back, you're thinking that half of the table either hit Max in the back of the head or forced his head into the guardrail. So it looked dangerous as well. So I enjoyed that. The concrete floor getting exposed. The blade, the bloodshed from Mark Briscoe was great. I agree with Mikey. I don't think MJF kicking out of the J Driller was very needed. I did not need that, and I did not know how that made me feel. I was just like confused on how I felt. I was like, okay, all right. He kicked out of One Wing Angel, now he's kicked out of J Driller. He's the guy who kicks out of all the moves that are supposed to be protected, but not against MJF. Okay, I'm gonna keep smiling because I'm an MJF fan, but I'm very pissed off because I am also a Jay Briscoe fan, and I hate all of this. But yeah. Other than that, I thought that they went out there and they stole the show. They had the best match on the show in the opener.
Everybody kicks out of every finisher. I didn't even think twice about it. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course he did. Of course I wish it wasn't like this, but this is what happens. This is what happens when you create a culture of kickouts. Just look at the main event of Forbidden Door.
Culture of
kickouts. You gotta admit, that's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
That's pretty good.
MJF did retain though, and then as I mentioned, the post match stuff with Kenny and everything. So, and then there was another MJF promo like right afterwards.
Yeah, like literally right after we came from break, just go backstage, another interview with MJF, and he goes over the list of all the people that he's beaten: Cody Rhodes, Brody King, Bandito. He didn't mention CM Punk, which was interesting. But yeah, and he says, what do all those people have in common? They've all lost to me. And that's why Kenny Omega is now 0-2 against me. And I know he's too much of a coward to accept the challenge. And then Will Ospreay questioned him and asked him why. And he says it's because I'm the champion. And he was like, I don't care what you say. I don't care what these schmucks at home say. I'm going to be the one who meets your pale ass at Wembley Stadium. This felt like the most MJF cutting a promo on the fans that want Kenny versus Will at All In. Like, that's how it felt. He had so much passion and intensity in that promo. It's like he hears it. He hears the people talking about Kenny and Will, and this was his promo towards them.
It did feel very much... I mentioned this last year before WrestleMania with that Seth Rollins promo on SmackDown. And I was like, oh, Seth is trying to talk himself into this victory. Because that was a great promo that he cut. I'm like, yeah, Seth is trying to tell anyone back there who's listening, this is why I need to win the main event. And that's what it's felt like with MJF. He is trying to talk to anybody who's willing to listen. This is why I should be headlining All In against Ospreay and not Kenny Omega. And I don't think it's going to work, especially with the stipulation next week, but I got to give him credit for trying because he's doing some really good work with these promos. And hopefully he doesn't break his neck sucking his own dick.
Yo, that was crazy when Will said that. He was like, be careful, you might break your neck sucking your dick that whole time.
It didn't say sucking yourself off like that, but
blowing yourself off.
Yeah, I made it. I'm pretty sure he said sucking. I made it a little bit more. Andrade was out there. He said, "How you know?" He got attacked by the Don Callis B team and Kevin Knight. I kind of feel bad for.
This is the Monstars version of Don Callis family. These are all the monsters.
Okay,
yeah, Jake Doyle, Brian Cage, and Lance Archer.
I mean, it's still the B team, but compared to Okada, to Fletcher, like it's the B team. Just is. I kind of felt bad for Kevin Knight because I was like, remember when he was like owed a title shot when MJF was like, I want you guys on my team, and Kevin Knight was like, yeah, give me a title shot, and
he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it against Kenny Omega.
I mean, I hope. He felt very. With everything going on in the world title picture, Kevin Knight did not feel like on that level.
No. I think they're going to put him back there. They wanted to focus more on the main players that are going to be the main players going into Wembley Stadium this week. But I think that he's going to be more in position to get his title shot after Kenny wins. I kind of expect him to get his title shot before Redemption. So I think that he's still in that mix, but they wanted to focus on his rivalry with Darby Allin on this show, which I don't mind. And I was wondering how they were going to get by Redemption and do this match at All In. Now I can see a world where they do Speedball versus the Jet at Redemption, since it's in Montreal, and Darby costs Kevin Knight the TNT Championship, and Speedball wins.
I'd be okay with that if they just haven't like beaten Speedball in his quest for redemption against Kevin Knight and the Don Callis family. They're like, yeah, you're losing to Jake Doyle in your first match.
He only lost to the Jet due to interference from Callis.
He lost to Jake Doyle.
Yeah, I know. They needed to heat up Jake Doyle so he could be in the
so he could take the pinfall in the cage match. And then they just kind of like dropped the whole thing. Like, all right, this dude's a loser.
He was in the crowd. He was in the crowd yesterday, so they're still trying to spin that plate or get that plate spinning again.
If I want to watch fans in the ring, I'll watch NXT. Okay, I don't need to see.
Now this. Good match with Leo Rush too.
Yeah. Kevin Knight beat Leo Rush. Good match between them. Kevin Knight just felt like after everything before Forbidden Door and where it looked like he was going, he just felt weaker coming out of this. So you mentioned Darby. Yeah, they're gonna do Darby and Kevin Knight potentially at Redemption, or maybe they'll do.
In fact, Don Callis said that they are not doing that matchup.
Okay.
That Darby will not get a match against Kevin Knight as long as he lives, because he's a criminal. He tried to murder Kevin Knight, so he's not getting his matchup. That's why I think they're going to go in a different direction, give Speedball the match at Redemption, take the title off of Kevin Knight, and then Kevin Knight can have more of a non-title matchup, a grudge match with Darby at All In.
Okay. I could see that. They did Ciampa and Jericho stuff.
Nice little brawl. They're hyping up the match for Beach Break, which is now like the fourth most important match on next week's card.
Yeah. Ospreay and Moxley beat Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. I love Blake Christian. The swirl, yes. I love Blake Christian. Why are we doing 10-minute matches here?
I don't understand. I don't understand why the swirl keep getting these 10-minute matches when I'm just like, this dude is challenging for the world title at Wembley Stadium. The other dude is the guy that's probably the most protected guy in the company. I don't think they need 10 minutes to beat these guys, but here we are.
Yeah, why are we doing 10-minute matches against the swirl? Again, I love them. We love Blake Christian. It should have been a squash.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
But Will Ospreay is now a Death Rider. He wore the patch and everything.
Oh, God, that pissed me off. That's my biggest nitpick from the show, is that Will Ospreay joining the Death Riders pissed me off beyond belief.
That's fair. I'm not mad at that being your nitpick there.
It's like, I don't like any of this. I don't like any of this. This all sucks. This all is trash.
Cope and Cage talk, and Cope's like, I like Jay White. Christian's like, fuck Jay White. And that was it.
He was like, I had a problem with Jay White before he left with his injury, and I still do. And then just walked off. I was like, okay. All right, there you go. Jeez.
Speaking of Jay White cut a promo about the dogs, and
really great promo from Jay White. It reminded me that Jay White is one of the best in this company when it comes to promos.
I'm gonna need him to circle back to this Death Rider stuff though, because I hate when they do this injury angle stuff and then they come back and it's like, anyway, who cares about who attacked me and put me out? I don't need them doing like a ton of stuff with the dogs and then and teaming up with Cope and Cage.
Well, to be fair, he did call Will Ospreay a fraud.
Fair.
So yeah, he is. I think, he even said, he was like, when I left, everybody hated the Death Riders. Now, not so much. Kind of weird.
Hopefully after they do the stuff with the dogs, they go to the Death Rider stuff. But yeah, great promo with Jay White. He called him a Nepo baby bitch boy.
I was like, God damn, that's kind of harsh.
That ruled. That did roll. Guys, I know we mentioned the Death Rider stuff. I'm just saying, like, I want them to get to that sooner rather than later. It was good that he mentioned it because it shows that, like, they haven't completely forgotten about it. Mm-hmm. I also do worry they will completely forget about it.
They do have a tendency of really forgetting about this type of stuff and not really addressing it again unless we say something. So that's why we say something.
Yeah, they'll listen to us. Shane Taylor Promotions is still on AEW TV to lose, but I like that they're still there. You know,
they're still here, y'all. Yeah. We still here. That's all that matters.
Survival of the Fittest match for the vacant TBS Championship. See, this is where you probably cut time off of that tag team match and give that time to this match. I like this match. I didn't love it. And Shida won in the end.
I try to tell everybody. that Shida was winning. I was like, they tried to tell us as well because every other woman in this matchup came into this match as babyface except for Shida. So of course Shida was winning. So I did like the matchup. Like you, I didn't love it. I thought it was just pretty good. It was a pretty good matchup. I just felt like they weren't always on the same page throughout the matchup. I thought the match got significantly better, though, once Persephone eliminated Queen Aminata, because that got a lot of heat from the fans because they were in love with Aminata last night in San Diego. And then we had some really strong wrestling between Persephone and Chris Statlander, and then Statlander eliminating Persephone also got a ton of heat. So yeah, and then in the end it was Shida beating Statlander thanks to Persephone, who turned heel, turned Rudo before our eyes. So I'm looking forward to a Persephone and Chris Statlander rivalry, and whatever they're gonna do with Shida. Hopefully it's not her holding on to the title until Willow is healthy and then putting the title right back on Willow. Hopefully that is not the idea here.
I also hope they don't run back Shida and Statlander again, since they were the final two here. It's like, well, now that you're the champion, I beat you in the lights out match, so why don't we just do this match again? That's what I worry about. Well, we'll see where they decide to go with that. But yeah, it was a good match. It didn't quite hit that next level, and I don't know if more time would have helped it, but I just would have preferred that tag team match to be shorter. And
yeah, I think it got a good amount of time though.
It got like 17 minutes, but it got 17 minutes, which is good for free TV and everything. But I'm just thinking of the survival of the fittest match in ROH that I swear was like an hour long with at Supercard. And
so it was the main event.
It was the main event of a pay-per-view. I know it's completely different circumstances, but that's where I'm just like, we couldn't give this a little bit more time. We had to really do 10 minutes of Death Riders against Swirl. We couldn't give this more. So that's my only thing. And that Supercard survival of the fittest match was really good as well.
Honestly, I thought this one was better.
Really?
Yeah, I did not like the Supercard of Honor survival of the fittest.
It got a little rough down the stretch.
I told you the whole use of the weapons when it's always been no DQ. When you have use of weapons and not everybody knows how to use those weapons, the match never comes off well.
That's fair. I think I liked it because it had weapons, though. I'm like, do survival of the fittest matches usually have this many weapons?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's why I like that one. I was like, yeah, this is something different.
I like they put the spotlight on certain people. I like this survival of the fittest was a showcase for Persephone. We really see that AEW seems to actually have some plans for her, have the idea. They basically ran this whole matchup with the story being Persephone's going to be healed by the end of this matchup, because they did the whole angle with her and Harley Cameron working together, and then she turns on Harley and eliminates her first. She's the one who eliminates Queen Aminata when she was running wild. She gets into it with Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander eliminates her, and then she screws over Statlander. Really, she came off more of like a star coming out of this matchup, even more than Shida, who won the match.
What? I've always been on this train with match length.
Yeah,
Brian stole this from me.
Yeah.
I've said 12 to 18 is perfect matches for anything as far as like main event stuff. Anything over 18 is nonsense. And then every other match should be 5 minutes or less. That's how I've always operated.
And yeah, I do think MCAS might be on to something. I really feel like Willow's coming back next week for the casino.
For the gauntlet? Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I always felt, remember when we first were doing our bracketology for the Women's Owen Cup, I said the whole idea would be Willow wins that tournament, Mercedes comes back before Redemption, she beats Tekla for the title at Redemption, and they're doing Willow and Mercedes again for the world title. Now, if Willow has had a miraculous recovery and coming back sooner, they might still try to do that. I think that would be a mistake. I would hold off Willow maybe until the road to All In or after All In, because I feel like that's a money rivalry to do after All In, maybe later on in the year. But I really feel like All In, it should be Mercedes and Tekla, but AEW seems so allergic from doing heel versus heel, so I don't think they're doing it.
Willow coming back and winning, like dropping the TBS title, Shawn Michaels style with an injury, and then not being in the tournament and just winning the Casino Gauntlet and be like, all right, cool, now I get my title match at Redemption, and winning it there would be hilarious, honestly. I could see it happening, though. Yeah, Mercedes and Willow at All In instead of Mercedes and Tekla could be the plan there.
Yeah.
We'll see next week. Beach Break is a big show. It's a big show.
It is. Yeah. It is.
What was your moment of Wednesday, SP3?
My moment of Wednesday had to have been MJF's promo on us, the fans, and people like me that have been pushing the agenda of Ospreay and Omega for months. And Max is like, you think I'm just chopped liver? How dare you? I am going to Wembley Stadium no matter what you say, no matter what the people say. I'm facing your pale ass at Wembley. Great promo by Max. He was great last night. Kenny Omega was tremendous. Will Ospreay was great, but that in particular was my moment of Wednesday.
My moment of Wednesday is MJF saying that Kenny Omega literally has no guts. He's gutless, literally.
He's literally gutless.
I thought MJF was great from start to finish last night. Match was fantastic. All his promo work was great as well. So I have to go. I have to go with just MJF in general, really. I know you wanted to do half-year awards. Do we have time?
We can wait till next week.
Okay.
We can wait till next week.
All right. Do you have matches of the week?
I do. I have 10 because it was a very busy week. Honorable mentions. I went with Phoenix versus Nathan Frazier from SmackDown last Friday. Great matchup. And LFI versus El Sky Team from the Arena Mexico show for AAA last Friday as well. Number 10, I went with Kendall Gray versus Lola Vice from the Great American Bash. Great match, yet somewhat disappointing because I felt like they have a better match in them. And I felt like they had to rush through a lot of things and didn't get the proper amount of time that they needed to have the type of matchup that they had in Madison Square Garden. Still a great matchup, so that's why they make the list. Number 9, I went with Tekla versus Starlight Kid from Forbidden Door. Yes, AEW. I thought the AEW Women's World Title match was actually better than the NXT Women's Championship matchup, mainly because that, unlike Kendall and Lola, that match exceeded my expectations more than just going a little bit under my expectations. Expectations have a lot to do on how I view these matches. That's why I have Tekla and Starlight Kid above it, but I've rated them the same, 4.25 stars for both. Then we got Mox versus Bandito from Forbidden Door. Excellent styles clash that they had. Then we got at number 7, MJF versus Mark Briscoe from last night's Dynamite. Brutal brawl, bloody, a lot of great memorable moments throughout the matchup. Briscoe's one of the best TV wrestlers in the business today, and MJF's having an extraordinary year so far in 2026. Number 6, Sami Zayn versus Cody Rhodes versus Gunther from Night of Champions. a terrific main event to the show. 3 pros working the matchup as only they can, and a big surprise finish at the end. That is one of the best WWE matches on the main roster this year. Number 5, I went with the Young Bucks versus El Sky Team versus Unbound Co. from Forbidden Door. A spectacular opener to the show, probably the loudest the crowd was the entire show. Number 4, Team DC MJF versus Team Briscoe Death's Door. Just an amazing matchup. 12 of the best in-ring competitors in AEW just battling at it. Takeshita and Okada going at it. Takeshita and Fletcher going at it. Briscoe and MJF continuing their storyline. The Andrade moment at the end. Darby Allin electrocuting Kevin Knight and throwing him off the cage. Just so many great moments. So that had to be in the top 10. Number 3, Mercedes Moné and Maya World. I would not argue with anybody who said that was the match of the week, match of the night, match of the year. That's how good these ladies went out there and told such a superb underdog babyface story with Maya World and Mercedes showing why she's one of the best women's wrestlers of all time, bar none. Number 2, Kenny Omega and Zack Sabre Jr. Just an absolute masterpiece. The best technical wrestler versus the greatest wrestler of all time. And they just went out there and they created magic together. One of the best matches of the year as well. But number 1, the match of the week. Number 1 in really Jeremy's heart as well. Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Forbidden Door. 5+ stars, one of the very best matches, one of the 4 best matches of 2026 so far. Just extraordinary. Just 2 guys that are at the top of their game that just have unreal chemistry with one another. The ebbs and flows, they're able to make it look both violent and realistic, but at the same time so beautiful. The pro wrestling that they produced together and the violence and the bloodshed was on just absolutely incredible in this matchup. And the final 5 minutes is some of the best that you will see all year long, and had that crowd on the edge of their seat. They have to be number 1 this week, no matter what Jeremy thinks or says. Tatum Paxley versus Zarya, really good. Not even top 20 of the week. Go ahead.
Can't believe you didn't have any love for... What match do you think I'm going to say? Because I don't even want to say it.
You could say Shiloh Hill versus Tristan Angels from
Nope.
the
I mean, that
American
wasn't good,
Bash.
but no.
That was not good whatsoever.
No.
Honestly, after I did the review on Slammiversary, I realized that none of those matches were that bad.
It's nothing from... It was nothing from the pay-per-view shows this weekend. Think of weekly television. Think of
something with Meechin and BFAB.
Think of my dislike for certain people.
Oh, Austin Theory versus Joe Hendry. Gotcha.
Can't believe that wasn't on your list.
Ultima X was like 2 minutes. It was 2 minutes.
It was fine.
It was just fine.
It was a match that existed. Yeah. Mikey sends a super chat. Does the Swerve Ospreay have Omega Okada potential?
No. I think that Omega and Okada is in a tier onto their self. You guys, you have to realize, for the better part of like 25 years, people used to talk about the Ric Flair, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat trilogy in 1989 like it was the golden gale as far as like wrestling series. 2 guys that go out there, have amazing chemistry, deliver these match of the year instant classics every time out with one another, and they change the business. They put eyes on NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions. They made Ric Flair into the icon of the 80s, despite Hulk Hogan being a legitimate, much bigger star. It put Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, already considered one of the better in-ring performers. It put him into the upper echelon. It changed their careers. It changed their company, and it changed wrestling, that series of matches. And Okada and Omega said, hold my beer. And in 2020, 2017, now it's been 10 years, we're talking about them in the same light. Ospreay and Swerve are amazing wrestlers and have this otherworldly chemistry with one another. But they still haven't produced a match on the level of Ospreay versus Omega at Forbidden Door, Ospreay versus Omega at Wrestle Kingdom, Ospreay versus Bryan at Dynasty 2024. And on the Swerve end, that rivalry and the matches they produce are otherworldly, but they're not on the level of the rivalry that he has with Hangman Adam Page. They're not on the level of the Wembley main event with Bryan Danielson. Hell, I mean, I would put the Kenny Omega first matchup from this year on the level of any of the matches that Ospreay's had with Swerve. So that's why they don't have that type of potential for Omega and Okada. Omega's had a dozen fantastic matches with Naito and Ishii and Ibushi and Tanahashi and all the great matches in AEW. People still talk about that Okada matchup because it changed the industry. That's the difference.
Swerve and Ospreay isn't even on the level of Jericho and Ricochet.
All right, guys. It's been real. This has been In the Weeds for July 2nd, 2026. Appreciate y'all for joining us today. Jeremy, any final plugs?
What did we accomplish today, SP3?
Jeremy accomplished pissing me off again.
I get a heart. To you. Look at the hearts that come out. The biggest thing that we accomplished today is I apparently pissed off SP3 and Court Bauer, so I've had a pretty good day. Honestly, I've successfully trolled SP3 and Court Bauer off of this show. Result of our poll question: everybody was wrong. Court Bauer was on the lake catching crabs, but trying not to catch crabs. Let everybody know where they can find you at SP3.
Find me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I will be live in about 35 minutes with Jimmy Macaram over on the True Hill Heat Wrestling YouTube channel for AE Ramble, giving you a more detailed review of AEW Dynamite, the best and longest running AEW Dynamite review in the land. So join us for that. And I really enjoyed last night's episode. So Jimmy probably hated it. That's the honest.
He definitely hated all the MJF stuff. It's gonna rule.
No, probably all the Will Ospreay joining the Death Rider stuff. He cannot get over that.
Yeah, but you hated that too, so I can't, I can't give him.
And I think maybe MCATS is on to something. Maybe doing a podcast every Thursday with Jimmy is making me hate Moxley more. Maybe
they'll never make me hate John Moxley. I'm sorry, they can't do it. They can't do it to me. We'll be back tomorrow. Joel and I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to finally run the Scarlett interview tomorrow, everybody. So we're going to finally run that one. Jensen and I will be back tonight at 6:30 with the Spotlight. Until then, take care, everyone. Enjoy your Thursday. Talk to you later.